All right, so, Mr. Bowles. So I've gone through, I've taken your advice, I've prepared. Now I'm in the interview. How should I conduct myself?
When you're in the interview, the first thing you want to do is look at the person, and you want to give them a firm handshake, but not a crushing one. I've had to hire people in the past, and when somebody squeezes my hand so badly that my fingers are mangled and I have to undo them, I have a very bad impression of that person before they've opened their mouth to say the one thing. So you have to remember that what's going to kill you if you're not able to get that job, what's probably going to kill you in the interview are things you didn't expect at all. You got all these glib answers if you've done your homework. You're fully studied on everything. You know exactly what the company does, which is terribly important. You've researched it to death on the internet, found out everything you could about that place, what they do. You've researched the industry, if you're totally thorough, to find out what kind of problems they're dealing with, say the coal industry or the petroleum industry in today's world. You know the place, and you're killed because you have bad breath. You go in, and when you breathe on the interviewer, they reel backward 5 feet because your breath is so terrible. So the thing you got to remember is you're looking for dragons to slay when you go into the interview, but the thing that may kill you is what I call mosquitoes, just these little tiny irritating things. So I would recommend that you rehearse it with some friend of yours, particularly a business friend. You rehearse it, let them play the boss, you play the job hunter, which you are, and see what they give you by way of feedback. If you can, choose among all your friends, choose somebody that's a kind of a type for that industry. Obviously you don't want a business type if you're going for a construction job. You want a construction type guy or gal. But you choose an appropriate person among your friends to do this rehearsal with. And in the rehearsal, you ask them when you're done to be candid. I remember one friend of mine did this, and the person he was doing the trial interview with at the end of the interview said, "Do you know how long you went on when I said, 'Tell me something about yourself'?" And the person said, "No." He said, "I timed it, 1 hour. 1 hour when I said, 'Tell me something about yourself.' Did you realize that?" And he said, "No, I didn't." That's the kind of feedback you want. You realize that you're nervous, you're trying to talk too much, you're not being succinct, you're not giving short, helpful answers to the questions. So the rehearsal will uncover that, particularly if you have a friend that's willing to be honest with you, not brutally honest, but compassionately honest, and say, "I'm going to save you now so you don't do this in the actual interview when you go in." So you want this rehearsal to try out your techniques and be sure you come across as natural. If your hands get clammy during that practice interview, you're going to want to remember either to go into the washroom and wash your hands before you actually go in for the interview at that place, or use the antiseptic gel, anything to dry out your hands, because people don't like cold, clammy, sweaty hands again when they are introduced. You have to understand that this person you're talking to is, like you, an unemployed person. They're not unemployed at the moment, but they're liable to be in this economy, or they have been in the past. So you want to realize you're talking to a fellow human being and not somebody with this big sign on their chest that says boss. You're talking, two of you are talking, one's got memories of being unemployed, you are presently unemployed. That should help put you at ease. You realize that this person is not some creature from another planet, and that's important to remember. In the interview, you let the interviewer talk half the time, and you try to talk half the time. You try to ask your intelligent questions about the place. When you give an answer to a question, it's important to keep it between 20 seconds and 2 minutes. I talked about the rehearsal where the man went on for an hour. You don't want to do that. You want to sort of watch your watch. 2 minutes is the maximum. Then you can always say, if you need to know more, I can explain further. That way you will keep the conversation jumping, so that it has sparkle to it and has activity to it, and you want to keep always in mind, I'm here to reject them if I don't like this place and I don't want to work here. Not just I'm here to sell myself. And they, of course, are looking at you, deciding whether they want to try you out. So this is the most important thing to keep in mind when you're actually in the interview. And if you keep this in mind, you will come across as relaxed. This is a funny story, and I don't recommend it, but I talked to a man heading the Career Center at one of the largest universities in this country, and I asked him how he got his job. He said, I forgot I had the interview. I went and had a lunch. I had 2 drinks during the lunch, and when I went in, I didn't care. I didn't give a darn whether I got the interview or not. And he said, they said, you're the most relaxed person we interviewed, you're hired. So relaxation, I don't recommend the alcohol route, but it's important to remember with this funny story, relaxation counts for a lot. When you come across as very natural, they like you instinctively, and liking you is the first part of the equation that has to be fulfilled before they even think about what your qualifications are.